What's happening? You've landed. What's the story now?
We have indeed landed, Leanne. A very good morning to you and good morning to the viewers at home as well. It was quite an eventful morning, let me say that. Not only up in the air, but down here on the ground as well. The Department of Water Affairs as well as the Blue Scorpions, and they're in charge of water conservation, monitoring and making sure that there's compliance. And they came here in Wolmaranstad to clamp down hard on those who are perceived to be violating the Waters Act of 1998. And by virtue of the word blitz, means there's a no-nonsense approach. So that's exactly what we saw here this morning. But don't take it from me. Let's speak to the Deputy Minister in the Department of Water Affairs, Rejoice Mabudafasi, who joins us now this morning. Deputy Minister, a huge pleasure to have you with us. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, and thanks for accompanying us here.
Tell us a bit about what took place here this morning.
This morning we came here with that approach of zero tolerance. We came to disconnect here illegal connections that are there that are pumping water. You know, we've got laws here in our country. We say you apply, you get your license, and then you use. But now if you do it the other way around, then we come and do exactly this. So we're disconnecting the pumps. We are quite aware that yesterday or day for yesterday, we don't know, the pumps were disconnected to one area that were there. We didn't find them, everything was gone. But the main one at the top, we found that it was still connected, so we're disconnecting them. Until the owner gets the license, then he can use the water. You cannot start by using the water and yet you don't have the correct papers. That gives you permission and to show that you are using it lawfully. You see, we, as a government, we've got a responsibility. The responsibility is that we must share the resources of this country equally. We must look after the environment. Now, in order to do that, that's why we have to apply for licenses. Because one will take more water, it means what about the people down there? We have to share the resources that are there. And you find that by doing that, number one, you are being selfish. So today is part of our Blitz week. It doesn't mean that we're not working during the day, during the month, the year. We've been working from January to January. We're doing all this. We're taking people to court. People were paying fines. And now this week, we just want to showcase that this is what we are doing during the year. And why not cooperate? Why not do what is right so that we all share the resources of this country? We don't just come, we give pre-directives first to warn you, and if you continue, we give you a directive. And that is what we've been doing. We've been giving the owner of this farm the pre-directives twice, and now nothing was happening. Now we gave him a directive that to do this. You know, we even go further, because if now you continue to do this, we take you to the courts. And if you are a first offender, of course, it's 5 years in prison or the money that will be determined by the court. But why do we have to go up to that stage when we know what is right to do? Let's not be selfish. Let us share the resources of this country equally. There are people down there who need to use the river. What is even worse, now, as he was doing this, he has caused some water diversion there. So it's another environmental problem that is being caused. So let's not do that. And with our zero tolerance approach, we are saying that our laws are there to be observed. The National Water Act has to be monitored, that is, it has to be done. It must be done correctly. So that is what we are doing today.
In closing, as briefly as possible, Deputy Minister, what we've seen today seems rather extreme. Let's talk about the day-to-day water consumption as well as the water that we consume as South Africans. Are we generally a wasteful country when it comes to conservation and consumption?
Yes, we have got programs that we are saying it's not only the farmers or the miners, but also we as a country, we in our own households, let us see to it that we don't waste water. We see all of a sudden there are so many illegal connections that are there. They are wasting water and you are taking water for yourself. But also starting from your own household, when they are leaking taps, they are leaking pipes, report them, you know, always we've got a toll-free number. It is just like this one. When you find somebody is illegally connecting the water, you need to phone 0800 200 200.
That's 0800 200 200. So there's the message. You have it from the Deputy Minister herself. While we all have a right to access water, we have the responsibility to conserve it. And let's speak to a gentleman now who makes sure that we comply. It's from the Blue Scorpions. It's Mr. Nigel Adams. A very good morning to you. Thanks again for joining us.
Good morning.
Mr. Adams, tell us about what constitutes a transgression of that Waters Act and what the penalties are for those who are found wanting in that area.
Okay, in the old Water Act, the 1956 Act, water use, people could use water freely that passes through their property. But with the new National Water Act of 1998, you need to apply for authorization, meaning it's either general authorization or it is a water use license. And failure to comply with that, as Minister have said, it's for the first offence is 5 years jail sentence or a fine, or for a second offence 10 years jail sentence. In normal cases, the process that we follow, we issue you with a pre-directive to give you opportunity to present your case to us, and then we issue a directive, and then we come and execute the works.
So my gentleman here to my left is one of the farmers who've been at the receiving end of this particular aggression or the blitz that's clamping down on illegal water usage. Did you receive the directives and ignored them?
I do receive a directives, but I didn't ignore them. Never ignore them. I met Mr. Flip van der Walt. He was coming to tell me that I'm storing water and using water without a license. But to help myself correct, I was in the Landbouw Weekblad. There was an advertisement that we have to apply for licenses to register our dams in 1997. I was going to the offices of Mabatu, Water Affairs, and I was talking to Mrs. Brits. And Mrs. Brits told me at that stage that all the new Water Act of 1998, you have to register dams that's going to be built, new dams, not old dams. So she told me that I don't need to register it because my dam is being built before 1998.
So how do you feel about the clampdown now that your water has been shut down? How does that make you feel?
I'm not cross. I can't be cross with the government, with the Water Affairs. So I understand that I have to apply for the licenses and the water use. And I'm asking the department to help me to do that. I'm not cross with the people. I understand the water is a problem in South Africa. And I would like to say, across the Far River and all the rivers, the people got rights way to besproeiing, irrigations on that farms. And here we try to make a living here. This farm is a very dry farm. We already drill around about 20 boreholes here, and to make the farm a property that's worth it. And you could see it's a dry area here. It's a very, very dry area. It's a hard area here. And I supply a lot of work to the community. And I don't think we try to cross the government. We just try to make a living. It's a dry area. We have already got 3 years now. It's very, very dry. As you could see, the dam is very dry. I would appreciate if the government will be favorable to help us to register the dams and the situation to get it better. Around about 2 weeks ago, my mower was being attacked here, a farm attack, and I would like to see, we in an area here, we got farm attacks, it's dry, we're facing a lot of problems here, but we like the area. We like to make a living here.
My thanks to you both, gentlemen. Thank you again for joining us. The farmer who was at the receiving end of the Blitz this morning, pleading ignorance and saying he would actually like to work hand in hand with the government. It was a case of miscommunication and misunderstanding, also highlighting issues of farm murders or farm attacks in this area. So a lot of challenges that are faced on the one hand, and on the other, a lot of responsibility when it comes to water conservation. And you heard from the Deputy Minister of Water Affairs saying that this is something that happens throughout the year, and just this week it's highlighted to the public so that you and I know exactly what happens. But it doesn't stop, so we have to continue on the same breath of making sure that there's enough water for all of us, for every generation. So that's where we leave it for now. It's back to you in studio.